Good morning. Happy Saturday. Johnny Iturriria, All Credit Mortgage. Thanks for joining our podcast this morning.
All right, guys, welcome back to another podcast. I am here with our favorite lender, Johnny Iturriria.
Good morning.
I'll let you do the introduction, bro.
Gotcha, man. I'm with All Credit Mortgage. We're a broker here in Bakersfield. Got my own company going here about a year ago. I was working retail with a company called Caliber Home Loans. Decided, hey, I want to start my own little business, and to be able to help people get better rates, get better programs and things like that. So I'm here. I've been lending for about 25 years now, maybe a little bit too long.
25 years, man. longer than Rigo's been alive.
Yeah.
Pretty much. How old are you, Rigo? You're 25?
I'm 25, yep. I'm 25 right
25.
Wow.
So for those ladies that want to know how old I am, I'm 25, I'm single.
Ready to
no,
make
just
it.
kidding.
Don't calculate my age,
We're
right?
going to have to cut that one out. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, you said you were a retail broker, and then now you're doing it for yourself in the business. What's the difference between that? So people get to know.
Retail bank is I work for an actual bank, right? So that means that
Some examples.
let me give you an example, like say Bank of America, right? So you walk into Bank of America and you talk to a loan officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that guy get paid, right? He gets paid probably on salary, right? Not only does he get paid, his manager gets paid. They all get health insurance, right?
Yeah.
And so they trickle the cost down to our buyers, right? And what that means is you're going to pay for that person being on salary, paying their health insurance and things like that. Where with me, I'm a broker, so I go directly to the actual lender, right? The lender doesn't pay me a salary. They don't pay my health insurance. They don't pay my office expense, right? I pay all that. So instead of putting the cost down to the borrowers, right? Like these retail banks, right? Who's going to pay for someone's salary?
Yeah.
You're going to pay for that in the
consumer.
fees and the actual rate of the loan. So me going directly to the bank, I'm a wholesale person, right? So you don't have to go through a middleman, I guess you'd say. Well, you'd call me a middleman, but a bank doesn't have a middleman, but they have everybody that's on the payroll.
Yeah.
And how does everybody get paid? They get paid through the consumer. So I realized, I never wanted to get into I wanted to get into brokering. The reason it took me so long to get into brokering was things were busy in 2019, and I didn't want to get into I submit a file in a brokerage, and it's 2 weeks in underwriting. I couldn't afford that, right? So I had to stick with where I was. Then when things slowed down, I'm like, now it's the time to switch. Learn when people are not busy, right? So you can submit a file, and you get an approval the next day or get an approval the same day, and so once things start picking up, right, interest rates drop or, once things pick up, I know how everything works, right?
Yeah.
I know how that brokerage works, and I build those relationships with certain banks, right? Certain banks do I-10 loans, for example. Certain banks do bank statement loans. Certain banks do 1099.
Yeah.
Then you have your, everybody has FHA and VA and conventional financing, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, right? Those are your core products, but there's other products too that help people that aren't showing their income. Being self-employed like we are, I hate to say it, man,
We write a bunch of crap.
we cheat a little bit, right? And why? Hey, IRS, I'm here. I don't cheat myself personally, but
That's all right, bro. They're not watching.
there are some people that are self-employed. Hey, you write off some things that maybe you don't. It's kind of a gray area. Why do you write it off? You don't want to pay taxes. Well, when you go to buy a house, if you're a corporation or you're a Schedule C sole proprietor. For example, on Schedule C, they take the bottom line, which is line 31 of your profit loss statement. Mm-hmm. It's not how much you grossed up at the top line, it's how much you netted. What did it cost you to make that money? And that's where we find people that, I made $500,000, but I only made $10,000 when it all came said and do, right?
Right. So that's one of the biggest issues that I have with our clients that come to us, and they are self-employed, and it's definitely very common when we have people that come up to us and say, hey, yeah, I make really good money. I make $400,000 and I ask them for their tax returns, or the lender's asking for their tax returns. And on paper, after they wrote off all kinds of crap, they're only showing $15,000-$20,000, and they're like, but I make this money, and I'm like, okay, cool, but on paper you're showing 15,000-20,000. That's what you're showing the bank that you're making. Right. So they're gonna go based off of whatever you're writing off, So yeah, that's definitely cool that you touched up on that subject, just because it is a very common thing, right?
Well, and so what happened in 2010, I believe, that it came out with the Frank Dodd bill, right? It changed appraisals, it changed income, right? Yeah. Because owner-occupied property in California, and I believe it's nationwide, I don't want to say that because I'm not 100% sure, you cannot state your income.
Yeah.
You can't say, hey, I make $100,000 and the bank takes it. That's against the law.
Oh, like basically the loans that were done back in 2008, the stated income loans.
Right, where you didn't have to, you say, hey, I make $400,000. You put that down as their income. I didn't have to verify that. So what happened with Frank Dodd, it came out with what's called QM, qualified mortgage. Qualified mortgage, FHA, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, VA, USDA, for example. Those are what's called qualified mortgage. And qualified mortgage means you show your income on paper, either if it's pay stubs, W-2s, or your taxes, right? So now we're starting to see a little bit of a change, right? Where it's not stated income, but there's banks that'll use bank statements. Mm-hmm. There's banks that'll use a 1099. A 1099 is, a self-employed guy go, hey, I got $400,000 in a 1099.
Yeah.
But when I put that on my taxes, I only netted, like you said, 10, 20 grand.
Yeah.
Well, they'll use that 1099 now. They're going to pay a little bit higher interest rate and a little bit more money down, but do you show Uncle Sam, that $400,000? Do you want to show that you made $100,000, or you just want to keep it at $10,000 and maybe pay a little bit higher rate and give a little bit more money down, but you still qualify for a loan? So we are starting to see it's called non-QM, non-qualified mortgage, where it's not stated income. Stated income's like hard money type loans.
Yeah, right? That's typically required with a little bit more of a down payment, right?
20%, 25%
down.
And then those are investment homes, right? Okay. For stated income, right? You can do a stated income loan on an investment.
What about a primary residence? If it's your primary residence, can you do stated income loan?
You cannot.
So
you cannot. It's against the law, right? You have to show your income to qualify, right?
So real quick, Johnny, I want to go back to what we first talked about, just because this is something that I feel like it's not very common knowledge. It took me a while to learn this, and I really want to touch up on that just so that everybody's clear. So the difference between a retail lender and a broker, right? It's a broker lender. Somebody that's a mortgage broker is just basically saying, hey, like retail is going to be Bank of America, the Wells Fargo's, the big banks that say, hey, you are pre-approved for this amount. And typically those rates are a little bit higher because they pass the cost down to the buyer to cover for health insurance and stuff like that for their lenders, right? And on the other side, we have mortgage brokers or local lenders, the smaller banks, that have better rates because they don't have all the extra costs that they have to pass down to the buyers. I know you mentioned you don't have a processing fee, you don't have an underwriting fee. There's a lot of things that you have that beat out the competition. So whenever I bring a client from, let's say, Bank of America or Wells Fargo, the reason why I want to bring this up is because people think that if they get qualified with those banks, they're solid, theyey're good. But Wells Fargo sometimes, and not to talk crap.
They're really good.
They're really good. We're not talking crap.
Wells Fargo, right?
Yeah, but sometimes they'll issue a pre-approval letter or a pre-qual letter saying, hey, Mr. Bob Henderson, you're good to go for this amount. And then when they get an escrow, hey, by the way, we didn't ask for your W-2s. We didn't ask we didn't ask for this. We ran your credit. It's actually not passing DU approval. So I've had that issue happen a lot.
Right.
But yeah, going back to that, whenever we get a person from Wells Fargo and they get certain rates, we bring it to you. You can match that or go lower because you're able to outprice them because of all the extra costs that you're able to, delegate off, right?
Right, and there are some companies that are, I hate to say it locally, that are retail banks.
Yeah.
Right? That are retail outfits, right?
Yeah.
So they're all great people. They're honest, and but they're not as competitive on the rates, right?
Yeah, of course.
The customer service and stuff. Yeah, they're great, right? There's a lot of
nothing against customer service. It's more numbers wise,
Yeah, we're looking at the numbers, right? And so when you look at you match up some of these retail outfits, and I see their rates, I'm like, man, you guys are in the sevens, or like 7.5, and like, How do you get away with it, right? But, you know, just I know how it is because those people, they get paid, and then everybody behind them has to get paid. Their manager, the processor, the underwriting manager, you know, like the processing manager, you know, everybody has to get their share of that pie. So what do? They jack up that rate so they can get a little bit more income on the rate. You make money on the rate, basically, right? So the higher the rate, right, you're already priced in at a certain amount. Let's say 2% or 2.25%. So where does that money go?
Yeah.
Goes to the loan officer, but a lot of it has to go on the back end.
Yeah.
Everyone has to get paid. Right? So I always say, you know, if you bring an estimate in, I've never seen one where I couldn't beat it, right? So, you know, if you put something in writing, and I always say like for like, it's got to be on the same day. It can't be like a month ago or yesterday.
It has to be recent,
You know, so what I had up here is I was going to show the 10-year yield, right? This is where the rates are coming, right? Mm-hmm. The higher people say, oh, what are the rates today? Or what's going on with our market, right? I always say, you know, the best thing to do, turn on your TV in the morning and go to the 10-year bond, your 10-year yield, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at on Friday, we're at 4.28. What happened to us with the bond? If you look right here on February, you know, the rate started dropping, right? Big time. But what happened is our jobs report came out the first Friday of the month in February.
Yeah.
Our government's trying to increase the unemployment rate, right? So what happened all of a sudden? Oh my God, the unemployment rate actually went down.
Yeah.
Our government doesn't want that because they're trying to raise the rates to slow the economy down, which is hard to believe, right? A lot of people don't believe it. Our government wants the unemployment rate to go up.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Inflation, right? Too many salaries have gotten so much, right? So you go to the store now, and that's, you know, I'm not, you know, talking about any profession, right? Let's use fast food, for example, right? You know, so I remember, you know, 2-3 years ago, you can get a double cheeseburger for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Now it's like 2 for $4.50 or something like that, right? It's crazy, right? Why? Because salaries have gone up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So McDonald's is like paying $20 an hour.
$20 an hour. So who's paying for that?
Take orders
right?
for $20.
So this guy's salary went up. Well, so that hamburger that used to cost 50 cents to make, for example, now cost $1 because you got to pay the employee more money. Which, hey, everybody deserves to get a raise, right?
Right.
Yeah. They want to stop that because they want to slow the economy down, right? I mean, and they want to slow inflation.
Yeah.
You know, prices have, you know. Yeah, I always talk. I'm not much into lumber and stuff, but you guys heard the lumber prices a couple years ago.
With the new construction and all that stuff. Yeah, it was actually causing delays in construction, and construction was getting held up for a lot of builders. And
pricing went up.
Delaying, pricing went up, and there was lines, and people were just basically waiting almost a year to get into a house.
And that comes through people's salaries.
Mm-hmm. So
it all trickles down to that. People making more money, which, hey, we want to make more money, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
You know.
So what you're saying is basically the government is hiking the rates so that they lower the inflation, correct?
Yeah, because they want to stop those salaries from increasing.
Let me ask you this, bro.
They want the unemployment rate. They want people to be unemployed, which is a total like. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's to lower the inflation.
It sounds shitty, but it's true. It's just
so that way the people understand.
Yeah.
You know what the real truth behind why the rates have gone up. To lower the inflation.
Let me ask you this, Johnny. What is your projection? Okay, because this is the topic of the podcast. It's market trends for 2024, market forecast, like our prediction, right? What do you think is going to happen with interest rates in 2024?
Well, it's all right here. The 10-year yield, right? 10-year. So I always say, you know, the interest rates are based on this yield right here. So, you know,
so based off of that, what's your projection?
Well, what happened was at the beginning of this year and towards last year, the unemployment rate started trickling up. Our CPI index, which is the inflation, started going down, right? So it's like, hey, we might have found that spot, right, where we don't have to keep raising interest rates, right, or maybe lowering them a little bit, right? Then all of a sudden our jobs report comes out last Friday. Boom, man! It was good news for the economy, bad news for interest rates. So you see the spike here. You know, we're at 4.28. That had dropped to 3.8. back in February. So that, interest rates went up half a point, if not more.
Yeah,
right?
it spiked.
So big, huge spike, right?
Yep.
So hopefully the next CPI index or the next unemployment rate comes up, and the unemployment rate goes up, so we can stop it. But if we have a good unemployment number next month, that bond, we don't want it to be, but they're talking like 5%, 4.7. That's higher rates, right? The higher the bond, the
higher the rates, yeah.
The higher the rates. So
you're expecting higher interest rates in 2024.
I have a, like you're talking about, the other guy, he was saying they're going to go down, right? Mm-hmm. So
that's what a lot of people are saying. That's the conversation you and I were having yesterday, that people are projecting 3 to 6 times, for the rates to get cut by the feds. And I know obviously it comes down to a probability of a lot of things, like jobs report and stuff like that. So it's kind of in the air to what's going to happen with the rates. So you're projecting that they may go up. Right.
I have a bad feeling that they are going to go up, right? Because we haven't found that soft spot, right? Where we then they have, and what that soft spot is they want the unemployment rate to go up. I mean, it's just cut and dry, right? Yeah. And so pushing up those rates, now they thought they found that medium, right? That spot, right? But again, the last jobs report was good for the economy, I guess, but bad for rates, right? So I don't know. I don't know if, and then all of a sudden, like I said, rates went up big time these last 2 weeks. I mean, they've gone up, since the jobs report.
Well, they just had a meeting, right, 2 weeks ago. And that's the reason why the Feds had. So, I'm a little confused myself, because a lot of experts are saying that they're still expecting rates to get cut. And the source for a lot of these guys are the summary of economic projections. That's where they're getting their source from. It's like, okay, so this is what the Feds are saying. The Feds are saying that there's a 46% chance that in March they're going to drop rates because that's what they're planning to do. There's a, there's a 90% chance that on May 1st, when they have their meeting, they're going to drop rates even lower. They're actually saying, Johnny, that there's a possibility that in 2025, and you guys are going to remember this video as proof, there's a possibility that we may go to the 3s. What do you think?
Oh, it's not going to happen. That's a guarantee.
Yeah?
Oh, I guarantee it.
For sure, is that okay?
Anthony, you got to think about it.
So for all those people that are waiting for the 3s,
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Well, how can it happen? We are in an absolute mess with inflation.
Okay.
Why? Because interest rates were too low for too long.
Yeah.
You think after they kind of stop inflation, they're going to, boom, drop the rates back down to 3%?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. hopefully, I always say, maybe.
I hope. Just for the record, we hope it. I hope
that's
it
my
doesn't.
job, right?
No, I hope it doesn't, bro. I hope it doesn't go that low, because it's already scary to.
Well, I hope it does. I hate to say it. We do loans.
Yes,
we're in real estate.
Yes and no, but the reason why I say no is because of how low inventory is. Inventory is stupid low, bro.
Everybody's back in the
market. Yeah, so what happens if, exactly. Yeah. It's going to be a war again, and it's going to be very similar to COVID, when rates were 2%, 3%, people were fighting for houses, bro. So right now, we have very similar inventory to 2020 or pre-pandemic levels, where we didn't have crap, bro. It was very short. As a matter of fact, I'll pull up some of the charts right now so that we can talk about the inventory here in Bakersfield. So if rates do drop.
Well, think about rates being a little bit high right now. Yeah, they're high, right? But they're United States average, right? Mm-hmm. So what that did, it's everything's supply and demand, right? The demands are the buyers, right? When rates go up, the demand shrinks because they don't qualify to buy that house any longer, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. But when the interest rates go down, the demand goes up, because why?
A lot more people can buy.
Right? So you have more competition buying that same house.
We talked about this last time. So for every percentage, if somebody's locked in, just an example, at a FHA loan, 5% interest rate, let's just theoretically speak and say that drops to 4%. What does that 1% equal in purchase power?
Shoot.
Because I know there was a number for that. So for every percentage that it drops,
it was like $50,000, I believe.
Well, let's try
in buying power.
Let's figure it out.
And I remember that because of the new construction. Because the rates were at 5.9%. We took clients to the new construction. They bought the rates down at 4.99%. And they qualified for $50,000 more than they originally would have with the retail lender.
So a $350,000 home, just principal and interest, not the taxes and all.
Yeah.
It's an $1,844 payment with 3.5% down.
Okay. FHA 3.5% down. What rate are we talking?
I just put 5%.
5%. Okay.
So if I do it at 4%, it's $1,640.
So it drops $200. What about purchase price? What does that go up to?
Well, I just put in the same price, right? So $200. What I say, $1,844.
Yeah. So what would equal $1,844 out of 4% interest?
You're talking about like $400,000.
Let's put it in here. $1,844. About $390,000.
So you're pretty spot on. Almost $50,000 in purchase power. Yeah,
for every 1%,
right? And just real quick, man, the reason why, again, it's scary because this market is, and I know you've been doing this for 25 years. Yeah. Have you seen a market like this, bro?
I never have.
No one has seen a market like this. It's fucking, it's crazy, bro.
So can you explain to the people what is it that you're looking for in the market? Because a lot of the consumers, they don't understand what's going on.
So here's what's going on. We got low inventory.
Okay.
And higher interest rates.
And higher interest rates. So it's kind of like a standstill. It's a Mexican standoff is what they're calling it. It's like no one wants to buy and no one wants to sell. Right. You know what I mean? Again, I'm speaking in reference to specific areas. I'm talking about a national average. Here in Bakersfield, it's different, bro. It's crazy in Bakersfield. And this is what trips me out.
Yeah, but supply is really low.
Supply is low, but demand is still high, bro.
Yeah.
So people are camping out at new construction sites to be able to get in.
Dude,
bro.
we have a list of people
that have checks, bro, ready to go so that we can reserve lots or whatever. Yeah. We have people that are still getting outbidded. So it's weird because you'll see one house reasonably priced. It's a good price, no offers. And then you see a house that's very similar, but 20 plus offers. And it's like, dude, what the fuck is going on? But it's the reality. That's the way it is. Right. Let's talk about national numbers here, okay? So pre-pandemic levels, we were looking at 1.8 million homes for sale. Pre-pandemic, we're talking about 2018, 2019. Okay. Right now, today, national average, we're looking at 1.3 million homes for sale.
What about Bakersfield?
Oh, let's talk about Bakersfield, bro. Bakersfield is it's always fun. So
what's the Bakersfield? Same thing, pandemic, and then
it aligns with whatever we're talking about now. But yeah, Bakersfield is absolutely no exception. So we're gonna put a chart here for you guys to see.
I'm curious.
But let's look at the trend. So we have this site called Bakersfield Association of Realtors provides us with all the statistics with what's happening here in Kern County. Okay, yep. So all we have to do is hit the trends report, and I'm gonna be able to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. All right.
Wait for Santa's life trail.
Johnny,
is that Johnny?
Sorry.
He's watching.
I got my Wake Forest Virginia game.
All right, so check this out. I'm going to show you guys a chart in a minute. Okay, so these charts that we go it's the little red line showing all the properties that go pending. The lighter green is showing the properties that are for sale. And the dark green are showing the properties that are sold, okay? So right now, we're talking about the report from January, okay? From January 2024. So we are at 755 homes for sale, okay? We are at January of 2024, correct. And we sold 376 homes in Kern County, okay? 591 of those properties that were for sale went pending. And comparing this to last year, you're looking at, check this out. So this is the scary part. So for sale, you're looking at a 12% decrease. We had 858 homes of January of 2023 compared to this year. So we actually dropped 12%, 376 to 379 that actually sold. We dropped 0.8%. Pending went up. For some reason, that skyrocketed. So do you see what I'm saying? Now there's more activity. Right. There's people that are actually buying. So it's crazy that there's still demand. So it's like, for some reason, when January hit, people were just like, okay, let's buy. They're not waiting around anymore, at least in Bakersfield. And here's the same statistic that we talk about. They're not people from Bakersfield, bro.
Right.
We just talked about this yesterday. You know, a lot of the people that are coming in are people from out of town, bro. I have a lot of clients from Oxnard, from Valencia, from Sacramento, from Fresno. all my clients, out of the 20 transactions we got going on, more than half of those are from out of town buyers.
Right,
They're saying California is like the biggest state that people are migrating away from. But with the exception that people are forgetting about Bakersfield.
Bakersfield. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like that's
like a little gold mine.
It's a gold mine, dude. People talk crap. Oh, it's the armpit of California. But the reality is, bro, it's very inexpensive to live here.
Well, you look at the houses in LA, right? They're, let's just say, the average, right?
Yeah.
They're all built in 1960, right? They're $1 million, 1,200 square feet.
Yep.
Here in Bakersfield, the prices have gone up. You buy a house, let's say 2,800 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yeah.
Pretty new, for $420,000.
Yeah.
So half price, twice as big, right? Half price, twice as big, and why wouldn't you come to Bakersfield, right?
Yeah.
And what happened with COVID, right, is they learned that they can do virtual.
Yeah,
remote. A lot of these companies,
remote,
right? So like, hey, we can virtually work now, right? And so, as people like, well, why the hell would I buy $1 million house in LA that's built in 1960 that's 1,200 square feet?
Yeah,
I moved to Bakersfield, right?
Yeah,
our prices have gone up, but they're virtually working. They're going to come to Bakersfield.
And you're 100% right, bro. Most of the buyers or the borrowers that we get that come to Bakersfield are remote workers. We've had people from Walmart that work like really high up in warehouses that have like really, really high positions apparently in Walmart. And this guy's like, I can work anywhere in the world. And he decided to buy a house in freaking Bakersfield.
Yeah.
We had people from Amazon. We've had people that are nurses, people that, they have those remote truckers. So we have a little bit of everything right now. And people are finding, dude, you can Google this. What is the most inexpensive city to live in California? Bakersfield is number one.
Is it?
It is. Google it.
Oh, it actually came up on the news.
Yeah.
It showed up on the news that we were the top city in all of California where it's the most affordable. And not only that, but it's also has to do with the jobs. We have a lot of job opportunities here in Bakersfield.
We got ag and oil.
Yep.
Which is, very volatile.
Kern County alone, just a little statistic here, a little fun fact.
Bakersfield
is number one, right, on Google. So check this out, too. Apart from that, Kern County makes up 2/3 of California's oil and agriculture.
Right, yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
That's where we get.
That's Kern County alone, so it's amazing. And then going back to the housing shortage that we have, people are like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait for the interest rates to drop. So this is why I tell you I don't want them to drop to 3%, even though I do, because I can refinance my properties. I'm going to have lower interest rates, right? Lower payments. But here's the reality. Right now, we are sitting at 2 months of inventory. Do you know what that means?
Not very good.
That means that we can sell everything in 2 months and we're done.
Right, yeah.
And we have no more houses to sell. You got to put more houses on the market. So people that are waiting, they're saying, I'm going to wait for the market to crash, or I'm going to wait for interest rates to skyrocket, or to drop.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, either or. If you're waiting for interest rates to drop, you talked about this before, supply and demand. What's going to happen? Demand is going to increase through the roof, bro. Those
you got more buyers.
Those houses that are currently sitting there, they're going to appreciate forcefully. You know what I mean? It's forceful appreciation at that point, because it's like there's so much demand, and with the current inventory, it's like they have nothing to do but to go up in value. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the people that are rooting for a crash, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Well, the crash would have to be when the supply.
It would have to be a fire sale situation.
When there's more supply than demand.
Correct. And you talked about a statistic, bro. What's the percentage of Americans that have less than 3% interest rates or low interest rates?
So what they're saying is it's 85% of mortgage holders in all of the United States.
That's why they don't want to sell.
That have low interest rates.
They don't want to sell.
They don't want to sell. Dude.
Why would they sell? They're going to sell to go and jump into a 5-6% rate.
And not just that, but the reality is this: they're not going to go rent either. Rent is not getting any cheaper. So right now, people are kind of like
they're holding.
They're in an arm twist, bro. Like they have their arm twisted, because it's like, okay, rents are high, but buying is high. So this is why I tell the people that are still looking into the market, if you're able to, this is a question that we get as realtors all the time. Is it a good time to buy a home? Here's my answer to that. Depending on who you are, It may or it may not be. Does that make sense? It's not always going to be a good time to buy for you, depending on your situation. However, if you are in a situation or in a position in life to where you have savings, you have some money, you got a stable job, and it's something that you can afford, go for it. Jump into it, buy a home, because renting is not getting any cheaper.
Can you afford your payment?
And can you afford your payment? If you're comfortable with that payment, imagine if you buy the home now and rates say they do drop to 3%. Let's just say they do.
Yeah, you refinance your house.
You refinance your house.
It's an actual tool.
It's a real tool. People forget that you can refinance a property. And well, let's talk about what you did, right? During COVID, when rates dropped to 2%, you had how many properties at the time?
I refinanced like 5 of my properties. I did 15 years.
All at the same time, right?
We got like 2.25.
And what interest rates did you have on most of them, like on average? What did you have?
I first bought my
Prior to you
one of my
refinance.
houses. I got a new construction on Centex, right? I was paying 6.5%,
Okay.
right? Which is kind of where we are now, right?
Pre-COVID.
Oh, this is way back.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is
when
like-
rates were higher, like yeah.
What was it?
2012.
No, way before that. This is like 2000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a long time ago, right?
Okay.
This is like
Many moons.
2000, yeah. So yeah, a long time ago, before you were born, right?
All right.
No, so rates, but people don't understand. This is the United States average, right? You look at the rates. Maybe we talked about the 1980s, right? 18%. We're not going to get there. We hope not, right? They got to cure the inflation here. They got to jack that up.
Yeah.
I mean, lower the inflation by higher rates, but. Yeah, refinance all those loans. I put them into 15-year loans.
See, so that's a tool. That's
So
for people that are looking into buying, again, this is we're speaking, guys, in reference towards Kern County, towards Bakersfield. Again, I know it's the armpit of California, but the reality is it's growing. We talked about the population increase, which we'll put a chart here. It's increasing regardless of whether people are migrating out of California or not. People are actually migrating here, and then we talked about all the infrastructure, everything that goes on. I talk about it all the time because it's important to understand that it is a developing city. Mm-hmm. We talked about this, I think, last year too, bro, the Hard Rock Casino, that they were planning on building it last year, and they actually just broke ground over there in the Hone Outlets. I don't know if you're familiar with all that. They're actually planning to build multifamily properties out there, bro, so that people can live there, So you're talking about a 20-minute drive away from Bakersfield. That's close to the southwest. They're already building a bunch of stuff, bro, right off of Panama Lane. Wow, they're developing that way. These guys know what they're doing, bro. That the connection that they just did with the Westwind Highway, we talked about that too.
How about the train?
That's in the works, bro. The bullet train is gonna be amazing, bro.
I don't want it.
Why? I'm curious. Why don't you?
Well, here's why. Well, I want Bakersfield to be a small city, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that we get that bullet train?
Everybody's gonna come here.
It's done.
I know, but it's gonna take a while.
It's gonna be the next LA.
See it, but dude, I don't want it, man. I don't want.
It's already starting.
I don't care if my house price goes up. I don't care. But,
yeah.
Then can you imagine that? You guys in LA, living in their, even renting for $4,000 a month. They're like, hey, I can get on a train. I could be in Bakersfield in 45 minutes. Let's say even an hour.
Yeah.
Let's just say an hour, right? Well, what are they going to do? They're going to buy in LA? Hell no. They're going to buy in Bakersfield, right? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't they? They can buy a house that's way nicer. I don't know about the neighborhoods. LA is not the best place to live for myself personally. I wouldn't live there, right, because of the traffic. But man, Bakersfield might get like that too with the traffic.
I see it happening already, bro.
And then our prices are going to be. We're going to be comparable to LA, right? And I don't want that, right? And just because of those reasons, which it's already here, right? That train, they've talked about it for a long time. That's going to be about 20 years down the road. Okay?
Yeah. Well,
we got to think about the future for our kids and wherever we have, right? Like, what's going to appreciate once they build that train? It's not your car, It's not that. It's a home. Right? Yep. Because that supply shrinks, right? Because the demand's going to increase because more people are going to want to live here because now they can.
Yeah.
Right? We have the virtual people working. Now you're going to have people that actually still have their job in LA. They get on that train, they're here in 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
They live in Bakersfield.
You know what? I want to touch up on that real quick, bro, because I have a lot of people from my social media that they're from other cities, okay? And we help a lot of people out that could work remotely. But I do get a few clients here and there that say, hey, Anthony, I'm looking to buy in Bakersfield. Same reason, it's very inexpensive. But they're not remote workers. They have a job in LA, they have a job in Visalia, so they're stationed there. What's the commute regulation for lending? Like, I know that you have to be within a certain radius, or you have to be within a certain commute for you to buy in Bakersfield, because the banks want to see, well, how are you going to get to work every day, right?
Well, so it's called the reasonable commute, and why they do that are for the lower down payments, lower rate. It's called owner occupied. Are you going to be able to live in this house every day? Right? Not on the weekends, every day. So what that means is it a reasonable commute for you to come to Bakersfield, sleep, wake up, drive to work, finish your job, and then drive back home to sleep?
Yeah.
So there's no set mileage, right? But it's got to be what's a reasonable commute? What's a reasonable commute for you?
Less than 45 minutes, I would assume.
Okay. But, some people will do,
some people, to them, reasonable is an hour, 2 hours.
Well, if you're living in LA, you're talking about an hour to 2 hours,
Once you start talking 2 hours, right, it becomes unreasonable, right? Mm-hmm. You get off of work at 5, you're in LA, right? It takes you 3 hours to get to Bakersfield because of the traffic, right? So basically, you get home, you go to sleep, you have to wake up the next morning at 5 to get to your job by 8, right? So that's when you start talking, not
reasonable, yeah. It doesn't make sense, basically.
It doesn't make sense because people ask, well, why? Well, why? Because most people, when you buy a home, right, and you buy as an investment property, it's a riskier loan, right? Yeah. So the banks they want you to come in with 20% down. You're going to pay a higher rate. It's more of a risk for the bank because the first house you're going to walk away from is not your primary residence, it's a rental property that you own. Yeah. It's just the way it works, right? So people want to buy owner occupied. You can buy 3.5% down, 3% down, 5% down. You can get the Cal Halfa program as a first time buyer. Mm-hmm. First time buyer is owner occupied. You have to be able to live in that house every day as your primary residence. So that's one of the gray areas of what is a reasonable commute.
And just so that we're clear, if there is no reasonable commute or it doesn't make sense, it doesn't mean that you can't buy in Bakersfield. It just means you're not going to be able to give the minimum down. You have to give the 25% down because at that point, banks see you like, quote unquote, an investor, right? It's an investment property. You rent this thing out. Just because I'm telling you, I have a lot of people that are like, dude, it's very inexpensive whether I want to buy in Bakersfield, but I work here in Santa Maria. I work here.
Right. So one of the things that I actually wanted to talk about is the home affordability, right? So obviously they're not buying out in those areas because it's not affordable. And for the people that live here in Bakersfield, unfortunately it's still unaffordable because you can't compare the money that people make here in Bakersfield to LA.
That's the truth.
So what does it take for your average buyer to buy in today's day and age?
In Bakersfield.
In LA, wherever it is.
I always say,
can one person buy?
The bank, right? So on an FHA loan, okay, you get approved by the computer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll never get approved if what they call your debt to your income ratio on your housing payment is over 47%. Mm-hmm. So for example, a guy makes $100,000, let's say he makes $10,000 a month, right? Mm-hmm. His mortgage payment cannot exceed $4,700.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the math on that real quick. So just for the audience so that they know, because I know we understand it, but so if somebody makes, let's just, for easy, simple numbers, somebody makes $10,000 a month. The banks are only comfortable with giving you said 45%.
47, that's on FHA.
FHA, so now, 47%.
Conventional sometimes when you have great credit scores and your total debt is under 50, like 48, 49, you can maybe get a loan on that. So what that means is you make 10 grand a month, they might be able to do a mortgage payment of $4,800 if you don't have any other debt.
Yeah, right. So basically the reason why I ask that is because people say, I make $10,000 a month, I can afford $10,000 a month. And I'm like, well, banks have their formulas. It's the way that they calculate what they're willing to lend you. So if you make 10 grand, let's just call it 50% or less than 50%. You know, $4,500 to $4,800 a month is what they're willing to lend you based off that $10,000 income. So now touching up on that, with the debt to income ratio. So again, for the audience that doesn't know what that is, basically the banks want to see how much money you're making every month off that 47% income, right? The $4,700, and what you have in expenses.
So
that's what
one of the things that I did want to bring up is, obviously we're saying $10,000 a month or whatever, but the truth is people here in Bakersfield don't make no $10,000 a month.
No, I know. Yeah,
the average, somebody who's making good money here in Bakersfield, we're talking $60,000-$70,000.
Well, see, this is where I was going back to this, the debt to income ratio. I really want to touch up on the subject. So for the people that don't have any credit established, they don't have any of that stuff going on for themselves, and they wonder, well, how can I get a bank to lend me loan for me to purchase my first home? A lot of people think that they have to go buy a car, or they have to have some kind of big purchase on their history so that they can be able to qualify, right? Go ahead, bro.
No, I'm not gonna answer that, dude.
Okay, we're good. All right, so going back to this, yes. So people that think, okay, I'm gonna go buy a big purchase, because this is the mentality that people have. I got to buy something big before I qualify for a big loan like a home. So the reason why I tell people that's not the way you want to do it is because of the debt to income ratio, right?
Yes,
so if you buy a car before you buy a house, okay, let's just theoretically go back to those numbers. You make $10,000 a month. The bank says, hey, you know what? I'm going to lend you $4,800 a month. But if you go get a car and it's a $1,500 payment,
Right, you're screwed.
You're screwed, right? Because that $4,800 goes down to what? $3,300 now that they're able to lend you because you just dropped your DTI. Right. So the best way for you to get your credit started, and just so that we're clear, Johnny, you and I have helped people get loans with no credit history. All they have is a secured credit card, or they go to a jewelry place that reports to all three credit bureaus. So we have Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. That's the key too, right? That we want to make sure whatever they're utilizing for credit building is going to report to all three credit bureaus, right? So this is for the audience. Just want you guys to know you don't have to buy a vehicle. You don't have to get a big purchase so that you can qualify for a loan. Starting off with something simple as a secured credit card, or going to your local jewelry store and purchasing something small. I've had a client qualify for a home loan with just a ring that he purchased with his girlfriend, made on-time payments for 3 to 6 months, and this guy was qualified, bro. And his debt to income ratio was in touch. So should you buy a car before you buy a house? That's the topic.
Hell no.
No, don't do it. Stay away from that. You buy the house and then you buy the car.
I don't know if anyone can see this, right? This is a secure, because a lot of times what happens is people that don't have credit, they're going to have zero credit score. So they go apply for a credit card, they turn down.
They're turned down because they don't have any history, right?
This credit card right here, it's First Premier Bank. Yeah, you have to give a little bit of a money down. I don't know if people see this.
By the way, we're sponsored by Premier Bank. No, I'm just playing.
Oh, yeah, we're sponsored by them, yeah. No, so basically, you know, how do you start your credit without buying a car? Without even buying jewelry, right? It's easy. Yeah. You can go get an account of jewelry, but you got to pay $200 a month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Get a secured credit card. Put $10 on it. Go to dinner, and then set it up online. Where you don't wait for people to say, oh, no me llegó la cuenta. You don't need your damn bill to pay your bill. Get online, set your account up online, and as soon as you use it, within 2 days, just pay it.
Yeah.
Pay the $10 you use.
Well, Johnny, what about revolving credit, though? I thought we're supposed to have revolving credit.
This is revolving credit.
Even though you pay it off? Because I've always been told that you're supposed to have a balance. So
well, you leave a little bit of a balance.
Correct.
Leave like $10. Leave a $10 balance.
So let's give a little rundown to what that is. Okay. So for all the people that are looking to establish credit, and you get the secured card by Premier Bank, that's what
it's First Premier Bank.
First Premier Bank. Okay. Awesome. This is what it means, because a lot of people don't know what a secured credit card is. You go to the bank and you say, here, bank, there's $300 a month.
Because you don't have a credit score.
You don't have a credit score. They don't trust you with their money. Right. So if you come in with your money, you say, here, this is $300 that I'm going to bring to the table. They're going to give you a temporary credit card is what we call it, right? They're going to say, here you go. And if you're responsible with that credit card and you're utilizing it, we're again, key for this as well is being under 30% utilization, right? So if I got a $300 balance or a loan,
I always say leave the balance at $10 or less. I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in the 30% utilization, but that's the formula, right? So let's just say you use it for gas, 15, 20 bucks, 30 bucks, and you leave a small balance on that and you make on-time payments for 3 to 6 months, the banks will refund you your money. They'll give you your money back, and then they will give you their
real
credit.
credit
They'll
card.
give you a real credit card. It could be 300 bucks, 600 bucks, 900 bucks, but you just established credit. The quicker way to do that too, that I want to talk about, is an authorized user, right? You want to talk about that?
You can add somebody as an authorized user.
And that's instant. You don't have to wait the 3 to 6 months, right?
The scary part about authorized user, you can get burned.
By the person that you're jumping on, right? I've seen it happen too.
So, I mean, okay, things are going good for them, but for whatever reason, they miss a payment. So it's not you that effed up your credit. It's that person that adds you to their account. It's going to give you instant
credit.
Instant credit. And maybe you do that. I mean, hate to say this here, you get a loan and then you get off that account because you never know how that's going to affect you later on in the future, right? And so not only that is you can add to somebody's account. Well, that account might be maxed out or could have late payments on it already. Yeah. You don't want to do that. That's going to hurt your score.
So basically, an authorized user, guys, just so you know, it's if you know somebody that has a really good credit history, somebody that actually, let's say they have a $10,000 credit card and they make on-time payments and they've established credit already. They got an 800 FICO score. They're making, again, on-time payments. I'm going to repeat that. And you go and you add yourself to their credit card, you automatically get that history. So it'll instantly increase your score. So that's a good tactic for people to qualify because they're going to get an instant score opposed to waiting for 3 to 6 months for their
if you have 0 scores, never had credit, takes 7 months or 6 to 7 months to establish the score.
So this would probably be a better alternative than the secured credit card, right?
So
because
it's like a credit hack.
It's already a credit hack because you get that history and then you go apply for your own credit card and they're going to give you that credit card because they're like, oh, well, this guy has a good score already.
So so here's a good one. I always say if you have Capital One, right? If your mom or brother that has good credit, because I say you can get burned on it, right?
Yeah.
You can actually get burned because all of a sudden, hey, I didn't tell you I was late a couple times. Now you're on that account and it affects your credit. Capital One, here's my Capital One account. I don't know if you guys can see it, okay? So you click onto your Capital One account, right? And this is great about Capital One. This is why I love them, right? So you click on, and there's a place right here. Where is it? See how it says add authorized user? Capital One, you can add an authorized user. So let's do it. Let's add an authorized user. Capital One, okay? I'm sure the other credit cards have it too. And see how it says, do you want to get full access? It says one of these is full access and one of them. So you want to always get full access. Authorized user, not limited, but full access. You click it. You continue that, and then this, they're going to send me a text, but what happens is full access means you give their social security number. So that account appears on the credit report next time that Capital One reports. Yeah. Right? So if anybody has Capital One, I'm sure other credit cards are like this, but you can do this right online. You don't have to call anybody. You just go to Capital One, add authorized user on your desktop computer. And that person's added with their social security number.
And then boom, qualifies for a home loan.
What, in less than a month?
Yeah.
All right.
Less than a month?
The next time they report. So you might get lucky, right?
So when do the credit report?
It's the 1st, 15th, and 30th of the month. Now, Capital One, I'm not sure when they report. I mean, you can always find out. When do you report, right? So either the first day of the month, the 15th, or the last, right? So you might get lucky. You might get onto that account that day, and they report the very next day.
Yeah, and you might get an instant
score. So it's kind of hard to say when they're going to report. Yeah. But, you have an instant score. You can have one within one day.
I want to kind of touch up on another subject here, something that he was talking about right now about like how can the average person, well, I wouldn't even say average person, but what is the
average income?
Okay.
Here.
Let's look at it. Okay,
what's the average income that a person needs to qualify for a good loan? Because a lot of people.
What's a good loan?
FHA. Let's just talk about FHA.
What price?
Let's go medium price.
350.
Let's go. 350.
Okay.
350 is.
I think it's like a 370 for the median price point here in Bakersfield.
But let's just go medium.
Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's right around there.
So approximately, right, on a 350 loan, say the rate's 5.875. it's approximate payment. What is that? Well, I can't see it.
It's 26.53.
Okay, let's go back to what we talked about earlier.
The 45% formula.
FHA allows you to go to 47%. So what's the payment there?
So it's $2,600.
So take $2,600.
So in order to qualify for a $2,600 payment, to qualify for, this is assuming you have no car debt, you have no big expenses like that. To qualify for a $2,600 payment, what you need to be about $5,000 a month, something like that.
That's
$5,500.
That's $5,000 a month, $2,600. That's 52%.
That's 52%. So it's like $5,500, something like that.
So if you take, let's just do it. Let's calculate it right now.
So it would take the average person.
You do here. Let me. Numbers
if you think about it,
I'm trying to get my calculator. Okay, so
you're getting paid $20.
What's the payment?
An hour at McDonald's. You're good, dude. 2,600.
So you take 2,600 divided by 0.47. You have to make $5,531.
Yeah, $5,500 a month.
Now, if you have debt, right?
If you have a car payment that's $1,000, you take $1,000 off.
Well, you go to 56% on FHA. Do you understand? So
on a yearly income of $5,600 times 12, we're talking about
it's like 60 grand, something like that. 60, 70.
66.
So
that's the number.
If you make $5,500 a month, you can have up to $3,100 in total payments, right? So that would be including your car, $3,100, and then what's 47%, right?
Yeah.
The 55.
He said it was like 5,600.
So it'd be about $2,500, right? If you make $5,500 a month, right, they would give you a housing payment of $2,585. That's 47% of that $5,500.
Correct.
But FHA will go up to 56. The housing cannot exceed 47 with other debt.
Correct.
So if you have another car payment,
so then they'll increase it to 56%. Gotcha.
Conventional will not.
Just FHA.
Just FHA.
Okay.
Conventional is no higher than 50.
So even then with those simple numbers, $5,500 a month, multiply that by 12, you need to be at what, 70,000?
$67,000.
Yeah, $67,000 a year, which is not too bad, bro. You know, it's the reality.
That's assuming that you have no debt.
This is assuming that.
Well, if you have debt, right, the debt that's just the housing payment alone. No,
right.
It doesn't. If you have debt, it goes up to 56%.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the housing payment can't exceed that. Right, and then you add 56%. So you have a $400
So
payment.
would it make sense to have like a $200 car payment at that point? Because if it increases because you have debt,
you'd be okay at you'd be okay at $200.
Okay, or better. Because if I'm getting 46% with no debt and I go up to 57% with some debt, wouldn't it be better to just get a $200 car payment?
It'd be better not to have a car payment.
For sure.
Yeah, because 57%. Like so, again, going back to that computerized approval, right? People talk about 580 scores and 615s. Probably not going to get approved with a 56%.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I don't know, you might, but probably not, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have what they call reserves, like, hey, I'm going to buy my house, I have nothing left over in the bank or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I always say, get that if you have no debt, get this little secured credit card, set it up online, go out and spend $50 on dinner. Pay it the next day down. Pay $40 down on it. So leave a $10 balance. Go use it again.
So always leave a balance.
Yeah, but always pay the minimum payment, right? People say, "Oh, it's una droga." It's a droga because you maxed it out. You owe $10,000 on it, man. Of course, it's a droga, man.
What do you think about this, Johnny? People that you know, you're probably gonna disagree with me on this one, but just real quick, I want to touch up on that since you brought it up. A lot of people say everything I do is cash. I pay cash everything, cash this, cash that. But then we have those people that say, and those people including myself, well, if you're responsible with your credit cards and
use cash.
That's basically, you think cash is better than credit? So if I'm a responsible person, and let's just say that I have a $10,000 limit on my credit card, and I spend $3,000 a month on my credit card instead of putting it on a debit card, and I'm responsible enough to pay whatever I use, right. Wouldn't it make sense to utilize a credit card versus paying with cash? Because I'm getting points off of this anyway.
Well, because some of the credit cards give you,
they give you cash back, correct,
things like that.
So if I'm responsible, it makes sense to use a credit card.
Oh,
right?
no doubt,
100%.
doubt about it.
Credit's king, though. Everybody needs to have.
You know, the people that say I don't have credit, unfortunately, we're in the United States and it sucks, right? I think it's bullshit. You have a guy that has excuse me,
No, it's all right.
$50,000 in credit card debt and he has a 720 score. You have Joe Bob that pays everything cash. He has zero credit. He can't get a damn house.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a score.
He doesn't have a damn score. So it's like the people that say, hey, I'm not going to have credit. Well, he ain't buying a house.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you give a nice piece of money, chunk of money down. Or you're not getting a car payment unless you're going to pay 18%. You have zero scores. So if you have cash, congratulations, right? Because are you going to be able to afford a $350,000 house in cash? You're going to be able to buy a $50,000 car in cash? If you can, hey man, do it.
Kudos.
Right?
Yeah.
But most people can't. And unfortunately, they come up with that stupid credit score, right? You don't have a credit score,
You're a ghost.
you're screwed, right?
Yep.
You're screwed because you have to pay cash or you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
You're going to pay 25% for a car loan. You're going to pay, housing, you're going to get a hard money loan, right? You're going to pay 10.5% on the mortgage rate. So, people that pay cash, it's great.
Now,
hopefully you don't need to borrow any money.
Now, to stay on topic here, this is something that I do want to talk about too, because it was a very popular subject once this freaking program came out, and I really want to touch up on it.
Okay.
The Dream for All program.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the Dream for All program. So, I have a lot of people that tell me, Anthony, I'm going to wait for the Dream for All program to come out, and then I'm going to buy a house. So,
let's do this. Let's and that's a great, maybe we do wait, right? Who knows?
So what is a Dream for All program real quick for the audience? So you get 20%, right? It's a grant that California has exclusively for Californians, and basically they give you 20% to cover 15% for
down payment,
and then 5% towards your
unless
closing
you have
costs.
your own closing costs.
And then we talk about correct, and then shared appreciation. So basically, if say for whatever reason you buy a home for $300,000 and you sell it for $400,000, it appreciates $100,000 in equity. You have shared appreciation where you pay back 20%.
You have to pay the state back to 20 grand. You would keep 80,000.
Correct, on that appreciation.
So the good thing about it is the only problem is we're not guaranteeing that. That is a lottery system. And what that means is...
lottery system. What's a lottery system? So for the people that are waiting for the Dream for All program.
Put your name in the hat and hopefully you get lucky, right? You got to get lucky.
So you're selected for that program.
But we need to get all these people that are thinking about it. People wait till the last minute. It's called reactive, right? Not proactive. Be reactive.
I love that.
If you want to get your shit together and you want to see if you don't wait till the last minute. Oh, I'm waiting. Waiting for what? Get your shit out. Get your income prepared. Look at your credit report. Soon as that comes out, then people are like, oh, they panic, right? Or you didn't get your shit done. Now you're not even going to be in the lottery system because you didn't prepare yourself. So if you want to get that chance, hey, we're not guaranteeing anything, but this is the entire state of California, right? The last time they had this, it went away in 2 weeks, but they didn't have a lottery system. So
yeah, it was like everybody. So the funds went up. They went out fast.
And it's crazy because it sounds like it's free money.
No, you have to pay it back.
You have to pay it back.
But the difference is, to be honest with you, is the greatest part about it is the debt to income ratio.
What's the debt to income ratio on that?
It's 45 unless you have a 700 score, right?
Okay.
But then it goes up to 50%, no higher. But you have to get a DU approval. The difference is since they're giving you that money down, they're not giving it to you, they're letting you borrow it. It increases the amount that you can buy.
Yeah.
Because you're going to instead of qualifying for 250, you qualify for 300. Do you understand?
Because you're putting more of a down payment, technically.
Right. So you're only, and plus there's no mortgage insurance if you can use the entire 20%.
So what's the catch too? Because I heard there was a catch that basically you have to be a first generation homeowner. So your parents cannot have a home or cannot own a home in order for you to qualify for this.
I did not even know that.
Program.
Did not know that. That is kind of a shocker that came out.
That's crazy, bro.
Wow.
Changed their, just ask, hey, are you first time home? The person themselves has to be a first-time home buyer.
Correct.
Right?
They have to be a first-time buyer, and parents cannot own a home.
Right.
Right?
So I don't know how, to be honest with you, I don't know if part of the application is, have your parents ever owned a home? that's not on the standard application, so I'm not sure about.
We don't know yet because it hasn't came out, but when it comes out, that's going to be an interesting topic.
But the people that are sitting here listening today and they're waiting for that program, right? How long are you going to wait? You know, you're going to wait until the last day, you know, and panic. You know?
Yeah, I like that reactive versus proactive.
Let's get that. Let's call us up, right? Let's sit down.
Get you ready.
Let's figure out your credit, figure out your income. And then as soon as you're in the lottery system, right? We're not guaranteeing anything, right? You know, there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee. So it's kind of like
don't know.
Waiting for something that may or may not happen. That's like the stupidest thing that you can do. Not that the loan is bad. I'm not bashing the program. I think it is a great program. If you can get it, great. But waiting for something that may or may not happen is.
But if you're sitting on the fence waiting for that, come in. Let's talk, right? Let's figure out.
See where you're at.
Where's your credit? Where's your income? What's available right now, right? Is the dream all? Are you going to get that? You might have a house that, you know, hey, you know, I like this house. I can afford it.
Yeah.
I can qualify for this payment. Let's
why
do
wait
it, right?
for sure?
You know, why wait? But you know, we want everybody to be upfront approved. You do not want to wait until the last minute. Like I always, you know, how many times this happened? Oh, my dream house across from my parents' house, right? I have to make an offer today. Well, why the hell did you wait?
Yeah. Why not be ready?
Even ready to go.
That's what I tell people, bro. They think that because they contact us that they're going to buy today. Like, no, dude, it's not a night to morning process. You're just getting yourself prepared so that when you do find the house that you like, well, guess what? You're ready to go. And a lot of people are like, no, I'm going to look first because I want to see what I like. And if I like something, then I'll get qualified. And I'm like, dude, by the time you find something you like and then try to get qualified, the house is gone.
You're wasting your time.
You're wasting your time. Well, this is why we don't show properties to people that are not qualified, not because we're discriminating, not because we don't want to take our time, because we're too busy, you know,
because we don't believe
that they're making money. It's just we don't want to waste your time as a consumer and go and show you something that you may or may not be able to purchase. Does that make sense? Yeah. And you're gonna be upset with us if we go out and show you the property and then just to come to find out, oh well, guess what? You don't qualify.
Or better yet, they love the home, but they don't love the payment.
They don't like the payment.
They don't like the payment.
They don't like the rates.
Oh, you know what? I love the home.
They don't like the
I can't afford the $4,000 a month.
Right.
It's like, dude, we should have started.
And I've had people
figuring out the numbers first.
We always say, hey, what's your payment? Let's start there. This is what you qualify for. Yeah, you qualify for $4,000, but you want $3,000. This is what that can buy you. And that's go look at those homes. Right?
That's another amazing topic there, bro. When people come in, they think, okay, I qualify for $500,000. I have to buy a property at $500,000. No, you don't. We go based off of whatever you're comfortable.
The payment you want to make.
You come in and you know you qualify for $500,000, but you're comfortable with a $300,000 payment. That's what we're gonna go based off of,
right?
And we're gonna respect that all day long because the one making the payment for 30 years is gonna be you, not us.
So to clarify for those people that are looking to buy and say, I want to buy in the summertime because my kids are not going to be in school, and I think it's the perfect time for me to move houses,
wait for taxes,
or whatever the case might be, right? People are waiting to buy.
Everybody is.
Do you believe that it's in their best interest to talk and consult with one of us before they're even trying to get started? Or,
of course,
you know, you're a typical buyer, and you're saying, hey, you know what, I want to buy 3 months.
Wait till July, but you want to
when should you start?
You want to be ready to go because once those 3 months and that all of a sudden, hey, I found the perfect. Like I said, I see this all the time. I found the perfect house. Really? Well, we haven't run your credit. We haven't figured anything out, right? Because as we know, in our market, how quickly do houses go?
Oh, fast. Depending, you know, but yeah, some of them go really
fast. A good listing, a week to 2 weeks.
You know, and people say, oh, you know, I want to buy this house, but I'll come talk to you in 2 weeks. Okay, that's fine, right? But you're probably not going to get that house, right? It's going to have to be the next one, right? So, you know, people for the Dream for All or anything else that are like
waiting,
they're reactive, right? Get on it. This.
Be proactive.
Gather your stuff. Gather your taxes. Gather your, sit down and talk. This is what you can afford, what I can qualify you for, and this is the house you can buy with the payment you want to make.
Before we switch the topic on that Dream for All program, do you believe that California knows something that we don't, in the sense of appreciation is going to happen? California knows housing prices are going to go up. do they give the money so that they get a bigger return in the long?
Because it's a business, bro. They're not going to just get free money.
Think about 10 years from now.
Well,
you
think
know what
about
I mean?
this. Who's risking here?
They are, in a sense. Well,
They're giving 20% down, but they know or they feel confident,
Right.
the prices are going to go up.
Right.
They're not going to roll the dice. Well, California, our government's kind of screwed
you
up.
would think they're taking a risk. They're not taking a risk.
Well, I mean, but they are. Buddy.
They are.
They are because they're
they're
giving
not.
you this money at zero interest.
yeah.
And you borrow this money at zero, but you would have never been able to buy that house because your debt ratio didn't let you qualify for a $300,000 house. It only let you borrow $250,000.
Yeah.
So I always say, and I told you this: if you can use the bank's money to buy anything, you do it.
Yeah.
The bank's going to give you. Why not? It's not your money. It's theirs.
You use someone else's, you use someone else's money to make money. But doesn't change the fact that you should not be reactive or be reactive and just wait for that opportunity to come and just hope that you get chosen and selected. No,
if you get lucky, very, very lucky,
then go for it.
To win the lottery, yes.
Yeah.
But
so lottery selected is
I've never won the damn lottery.
Me neither. I played that shit and I'm like, man, I'm good. Real quick, I want to touch up on the subject. We're about to wrap it up here because I think we're about an hour in. But
okay.
I want to talk about this because we talked about the shorting of inventory. We talked about the statistic of Americans that have low interest rates. Johnny, you and I have a lot of transactions going on right now. And some of those transactions are people that are selling their properties that have 3% interest rates.
Yes.
So the big question is, why are those people selling getting higher interest rates? They're getting 5% interest rates and they're selling at 3%. Well, I'll tell you guys, and I was doing it myself, and you know that because you were going to do the loan for me. So why are people selling and getting rid of their 3% interest rates and getting 5% interest rates? It's not for everybody, but I do want to give you guys a scenario here. I have a really good client of ours that we're in escrow with right now, so shout out to you. Basically came to us and he bought his home with us during COVID, during the pandemic, and he got a 3% interest rate. So he got a good rate. I think it might be a little bit lower. I think like a 2.9.
That's actually one of the guys that we're in escrow with.
Yeah. So he got a really low interest rate, and he has some equity on his property, which
nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy, but got 70, 80 grand in equity. So he's selling that home. And he's purchasing another home at a higher amount. So his family got bigger. And this is when you should consider selling a home. This is my topic, okay? The reason why it's not bad for you to sell with your 3% interest rate is because it has to make sense.
Right.
If I got a bunch of fucking credit cards, Johnny, and I have 15, 20 credit cards, and I'm making minimum payments on all those credit cards, and those minimum payments, apart from my car, and I have other debt that monthly, apart from my housing payment, because people are saying, no, I'm going to keep this 3% because my payment is cheap, but they got all this other shit, and they got an extra $2,000-$3,000 a month apart from their mortgage, bro.
Right,
an extra $2-3 grand in debt, and they're saying, well, I'm going to hold on to this because it's cheap. It actually makes sense for you to sell if you got equity because you can get rid of all that debt.
Pay it all off.
And that's exactly what this guy's doing. Not saying that he does have all this debt, but I've had other clients that have 15, 20 credit cards. They pay off their debt. They pay off their car loans. They buy a new house. Yes, it's at a higher interest rate, but they get their closing costs covered. And guess what? They're $5,000 overall, because we're talking about overall monthly expenses, not just your house payment. Your overall your expense went from $5,000 to $3,000. So instead of a $2,000 mortgage, now you got $3 grand, but you got rid of $2,000 in debt. Does that make sense?
Is that not a smart move?
Would you say that's not a smart move? I think
that's a smart move. And then not only that, it's you're.
And this guy sitting
might be moving to a bit better area, right? Better school.
So he's upgrading. Check this out. He's selling. Okay, he's getting rid of that quote unquote 3% interest rate. Okay, he's selling that property. He's upgrading to a bigger property. Okay, because his family is growing. He's getting a 4-bedroom home. It's a newer property. It's in a nicer area. He has some money in his pocket, and he's paying off his debt.
Right. There you go.
After he buys a house, he's still going to have about $30,000-$40,000 sitting in the bank that he can utilize to do whatever he wants.
He's got paid solar too.
And he has paid solar.
He's got paid solar.
So should you or should you not consider selling?
Something like
depends.
that. So that interest rate where you got paid solar.
Yeah. If you're hurting and you're struggling so much right now and you have all this debt that's accumulating and you're just not wanting to get rid of that property because you got a low interest rate, consider it. Right. All I'm saying is consider the option of selling depending on what you can get out of it because it may make sense for you. Don't hold on to that 3%, 2% interest rate because that's what the social media platform.
Well, here's the other thing too, right? It's people that have FHA loans at 3.5% interest.
Yeah.
They have mortgage insurance, so their APR is like in the 5s.
Okay.
So if you can use your equity in your home and give it, sell it, give 20% down, your effective rate's gonna be the same as people that are paying FHA because you have 0.85 bips for mortgage insurance monthly, right? So your although your rate's 3%, your APR's in the 5s. Mm-hmm. If you have an FHA loan, right? So if you have equity, you give 20% down. You have no mortgage insurance. Yeah, you're going to pay a higher rate, but overall your rate would be pretty much comparable to what you're paying now if it's an FHA loan that you have.
Yep.
Right, because you're paying that extra PMI insurance, right?
So now that we're talking about our client, and obviously we have a couple of deals that we're working all together. In order for you to get your offer accepted in today's market, what are we looking at in the offers? Is it, so that way people get to understand, like, there is very low shortage. Yes, the rates are higher than they were a couple years back. There's still a lot of people buying today. Obviously, it's a lot of people that are coming from out of town, but people don't understand how competitive it's getting.
It's still competitive.
People say, hey, this
very,
house is...
very competitive.
I know a client that there was a house for $350,000, and he's going to offer it. He just offered $300,000. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
you're not
wasting his time.
You're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you do, right? Hopefully you do.
Of course. Our job is to try to save you money, but our job is also to be realistic. You know what I mean?
We're not going to lowball stuff right now. You can't do it. We're not.
It's not a fire sale. It's not
tough to get closing cost help, right?
Oh yeah, it's a tough market, dude. We have a client, and you're the lender on it, Langston.
Yeah. We
had the client remove the appraisal contingency on that one. It appraised, so we got lucky.
I did some numbers on that.
We got lucky. Yeah, we did some numbers and made sure that the comparables, the math was mathing.
Yeah.
But
shout out to my boy Lionel, by the way.
Yeah. But the thing is, people don't understand that house right there had 8 offers on it.
Wow.
Was on the market for 2 days.
Wow.
8 offers.
2 days.
I didn't know that.
2 days. Yeah.
2 days.
It was very popular.
And this is for the majority of our escrows.
Right.
We have another one on Monterey. Same deal. You're the lender on that one.
We
got the client. There was multiple offers. I think it was like 6 offers on that property, and we won it.
Bro, and here's the statistic.
And we went up in price, $20,000, no closing cost. I mean, it was what it took in order for us to get our foot in the door.
And remember, bro, most of those offers we were competing with out-of-town buyers.
Wow.
People out-of-town buyers, bro. Mm-hmm. People buying, and they're coming in hard, dude.
And cash.
They're not doing that bullshit like, I'm going to drop the price. I'm going to ask for closing costs. Hell no. Like our client that we were talking about that's selling and upgrading, his house, we put it up for sale at $289.99. We got an offer at $305 from an out-of-town buyer, bro, with no closing costs, also removing appraisal contingency, buying it as is, bro. They're not doing any inspections. They're coming, bro.
They're coming from Long Beach, all the way from Long Beach. They traveled 3 hours to come and look at one house, went home.
I had another property. Check this out. These are all real numbers too. I had a property that I posted on Instagram for $150,000, bro, on 805 California Street. Okay, $150,000. And I was thinking, man, it's probably going to be tough because the area is tough. It's not the best area. Shout out to my client too, by the way. If you guys know oiled out, you know oiled out. It was oiled out. No, it was remodeled, but it wasn't the best area. But somebody came in and offered at asking price cash, bro.
Right.
Also out of town.
Right, yeah. So what are you going to take, an offer that's say lowballing, or an offer it's like $150 with $5,000 in closing costs? Well, hell no.
So at this rate, where do you see Bakersfield market in 5-10 years from now?
Well, it's gonna
be comparable to LA.
Supply. It's going to start getting there, right? Because the demand's increasing.
Right.
Our supply is low.
2 months.
You know, it's just supply demand, right? I mean, I just
In
don't,
2 months, there'll be nothing for sale. All gone.
But even
Right,
then,
yeah,
even
that's-
then, guys,
you know,
one thing that I really want to talk about
crazy.
too is there's people that they're looking into buying a home and they say, well, what's going to happen with the market next year? I'm scared that if I buy a home, the market's going to crash. Let's just say, theoretically speaking, it drops.
right.
This is something we tell our clients all the time. If you're buying a home, there's two ways that you have to think about it, okay? Either you're a long-term thinker or you're a short-term thinker. Short-term thinkers typically apply to investors. If you're looking to time the market, you're going to get in, you're going to buy that home, and you're planning to resell it, and you're going to look for a profit in a short-term time frame, then yes, you should
Don't buy a
probably
house.
worry about buying a house right now.
Just don't buy
But
it.
if you're going to buy a home to live in it, and you're comfortable with the payment, it beats renting 100%, bro, because you're getting 100% interest on renting, by the way.
Love
But
it.
if you're planning to purchase a property to live in it for more than 5 years, who gives a fuck what happens with the market? In a sense, you know. I'm being
The
honest.
market's that well,
It doesn't matter.
So
It
you think
doesn't
a
matter.
$300,000 home right now is going to drop to 200?
And that's what people are
It
saying.
ain't going to happen.
My grandma
It's not
bought a
gonna
home.
happen.
My grandma bought a home in the 1800s for $17,000.
Yeah, right.
She's telling me to wait. My tia
Well,
bought a home.
And and look at your Tia, what that house is worth now.
Yeah,
Right.
quadruple the value.
I don't give a shit if you're Mexico, Spain, Thailand,
Worldwide, baby.
Australia, New Zealand, effing Canada, France. I don't give a shit where you live, right? Real estate will always go up.
And why is that, Johnny?
It's supply and effing demand,
Yep.
right? Period.
So
So
And they can make
what
you
do
more
real
land.
estate do? Okay, so real estate.
check this out. You can buy. You can. Hey, I'm gonna trigger a lot of people with this one, bro.
This is-
You can always make more crypto. You can always
Right.
make more Bitcoin. You can always make. You can do a
Make
bunch of
more
stocks.
money.
You can make more policies. You can do it, but you cannot make more land.
Right.
That's
Okay.
why I'm a big believer
It's
in real
supply and
estate.
demand. The supply is eventually going to go away.
100%.
So here's what I always say. One thing I talked to this other realtor about this. There's always one thing you're always going to you're always going to say I should have. Right? It'll never be I should have bought that car. It'll never be I should have bought those pair of shoes. You'll never say, hey man, I should have bought that purse, or I should have bought that, I don't know, that boat. You're always going to say, I should have bought that house. I guarantee it. People today, right now, are gonna look back. There's gonna be a couple people, right? Maybe 10 years from now, I should have bought that house.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it. They're not gonna say I shouldn't have bought that house. They're not. No one's gonna, unless you buy a house and it falls down on you or something crazy. Like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you're always gonna say I should have, and it's always gonna be real estate. I don't give a shit where you live.
Yep.
Right, and I don't care what happens to the market. You're never gonna say I should have anything else but a house. Or maybe hey, I should have dated that girl though. Hey, that's one thing. Maybe that. But hey, I'm
Or
talking
I shouldn't have said that the Raiders were going to win the Super Bowl. Just playing.
Right. So anyway, right? It's just real estate. It's gonna.
It's a tangible asset.
Like you said,
Tangible asset.
if somebody paid $17,000 for their house. Right?
Yeah.
That was back 50 years ago. 50 years from now, I will guarantee it. Every house we're buying here is going to triple in price.
I agree 100%, bro. I agree 100%.
So,
but even
there's
then,
no
I'm
doubt about
going to
it.
reiterate what I said. If you're buying a home, you buy it because, number one, I don't care what anyone says. But this is my opinion, okay? It beats renting.
Yeah.
People talk about renting like it's a freaking, I'd rather rent than pay this much in interest. And I'm like, bro, you're paying 100% interest in renting. There is nothing that you can do with a rental that can help you leverage, bro, to be able to maximize. There's people that have this mentality where I'm like, well, I'm comfortable with the $1,500 payment. Well, guess what, bro? What if one day the landlord decides, hey, you know what? And I've seen it happen many times. Tenant is comfortable with the payment and the landlord says, you know what? I'm going to sell my property because it tripled in value.
Right.
You got to get out in 30 days. Well, guess what? Your payment that you were comfortable with renting, okay, your 100% interest payment, you're not going to control that, bro. So you get to get, kicked out. Now you're going to go and rent at rental market value, or you're going to have to buy a house regardless. That's going to be an option regardless. Until and when that landlord decides, I no longer want you there.
Right.
I no longer want this property.
You helped us with our aunt. She bought a house from us. Same situation. She was in a rental. She lived there for 6 years. Very comfortable. She was paying like $1,300 a month.
They're gonna sell it
cheap. They sold it.
Right.
They told her you have 45 days to get out of here.
60 days to get out.
Wow.
And she was stressing, dude.
And then you go to our rental market, which is horrible right now.
Oh no, she lived at the rental market.
Here's a problem too. Even if theoretically speaking, you stay and you pay that $1,300 a month, there is nothing that you can do. And people say, "Oh, buying a home is a liability." Yes, in a sense, that's true. It is. But it beats renting, and then you can leverage that property, which I want to talk about this too, bro. Equity lines of credit. You know, we talk about HELOCs.
Yeah.
You can use the equity from the appreciation of that property to go and purchase more property, right? So if my property appreciates in value, I can get something an equity line called an equity line of credit. And basically that taps into the equity of your home. So if I have $100,000 in equity, they lend you up to 75% of that value or that appreciation.
So easy.
And I can use that money so that I can purchase more real estate to help me pay for that mortgage. And see, this is something you cannot do with a rental.
Right.
So yes, for the people saying, "Oh yeah, I would rather rent than to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest over 30 years of time," I'm like, dude.
Well, 30 years of time on rental, same thing.
Exactly, right? What are you paying on the fucking rental?
Whatever you're
That's
renting.
a bottomless pit, bro. You're literally. I would rather rent. I mean, pay a mortgage all day long than to rent. 100%. Real quick, man. We're about to wrap it up here. I want to talk about this too because this is a question that I get very often. 1031 tax exchanges.
Right.
Okay. A lot of people are kind of like making it seem like this. It's this thing that it's a hack. It's a hack. You can buy a home and you can defer the taxes. In simple terms, Johnny, what is a 1031 tax exchange?
It's called like for like, right? So your primary residence doesn't qualify for 1031.
Why not? Because it's not a business, right?
It's not a rental property.
Right.
It's your primary residence, which what's the capital gains for that's called capital gains. It's up to 250 for single.
And then 500.
Is it five? Man, I always
we have to double check that one. I think it's
so.
like
For example, you buy your house for $300,000. You sell it for $450,000. You pay no taxes on that money on your primary.
If you lived there for 2 years.
Two out of the last 5 years.
Okay.
Right. So rental property, you got to pay tax. Right. There's no capital gains. Right. Up to $250,000. So let's say you bought a rental property for $200,000. Now you're going to sell it for $400,000. You pay you pay taxes on that money.
Welcome to Cali, baby.
Right. 1031 exchange allows you to buy. You sell your rental for $200,000. You buy it for $200,000. You sell it for $400,000. It lets you buy an investment property for $400,000.
Yeah.
So you transfer your gain over to your new property.
Yeah. Without
paying taxes on that money. You don't pay taxes on it. So, but you have to buy like for like. It has to be a rental property.
So here's the thing with that too, by the way, guys, and I want to make this very clear. Not anyone can do a 1031 tax exchange. You have to qualify to be able to do that. It's what you're showing on your income taxes for that property. Like you said, you can't do it with a primary residence. It has to be a rental property. And on your taxes, you have to be reporting.
You got to be on the tax.
Hey, I'm making money on this thing.
Right.
This is in a quote unquote, it's a business, and I'm making money. And before I sell my property, because a lot of people will sell their rentals, okay? They'll cash out. They'll be sitting on $100,000, and they'll say, I'm ready to go and use this money to defer taxes and buy another property. And I'm like, well, that's not the way you do it.
You have to find a property within 30 days.
It's
45 days.
45 days, and then you have to close within 180 days. So the thing with this too, though, before you even put your property for sale, you have to qualify for that. Right. And once you do qualify for that 1031 tax exchange, assuming that everything is good on your taxes, then from there, at that point on, that's when you go ahead and you put your property for sale. And then when that property does sell, that money doesn't go to you. It goes to the 1031 tax exchange company. And then they say, well, now, Mr. Buyer, you got 45 days to appoint a property and 180 days to close. Okay, so I want to make that very clear because a lot of people think
you have to use all your money.
And it has to be like kind. So if I sell a property that's $500,000, I cannot go and buy a property that's $300,000.
Right.
I have to buy something of like kind, similar value, or greater.
Right.
That's the rule, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just wanted to touch up on that just because I get that question a lot with 1031 tax changes. A lot of people.
Hey, before we let everybody go today, though, I'm serious about the reactive proactive crap.
Yeah.
I'm tired of people calling. Oh, I love this house. Let's sit down. Let's run some numbers. Let's figure it out. Right. Be ready to. If it is the cow half, we're going to roll the dice with it, right? We're not guaranteeing anybody, but what we can do is get you ready for that program instead of waiting till the last minute. So, you got Anthony's number, Rigo's number, my number, right? Just call us, right? Let's sit down. Let's get you ready to go. If it's for cow half or any other program, right?
Just get
quit frigging sitting on the fence and waiting for people, to keep telling you not to buy, because the people that tell you not to buy
probably don't own a home.
No, and even if they do,
they don't, right?
And even if they do, they bought it years ago. They bought it 10, 15, 20 plus years ago. They think the market is the same. We talk about this all the time. In real estate, the market is always changing. It's never the same. It's not the same now, the way that it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's not even the same the way that it was 2 years ago.
So Johnny, we got a question for you. When is the best time to buy?
When is the best time to buy a house, bro?
I always say yesterday.
Okay.
You already lost a day. It was yesterday, right? So.
Yes, trying to buy some.
You gotta. Because you already lost that. You already lost that gain, right? You lost that 1 month payment or whatever it was, right? So always to buy the house was the day before.
Yeah.
Right? Not like, hey, I got this lady. I always tell the story. It's the last story I'm going to tell. This is hilarious. This lady lives out in Lamont. She speaks Spanish to me. She goes, little old lady, and this has been going on for 25 years.
Oh wow!
To this day, bro, we had this conversation.
I haven't seen her in a while. It's been a while. I haven't seen her maybe like 5.
So when do you go and visit her or what?
No, because I have a house out there in Lamont, right? So I would see her, right? Because she's my neighbor. She's like, hey, yo voy a esperar, los precios van a bajar, right? I'm like, okay. So when she first saw me, this is every time I see her, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to buy, I don't want to buy, I'm going to wait. So now, if she would have bought that house when we first talked, it would have tripled in value, right? And she'd almost have it paid off. She's still renting and still doesn't own her house.
Bottomless pit, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, now it's almost too late for her to buy, because she's probably like 80 years old now.
It just doesn't make sense anymore.
Well, I mean, it might, because now she can't buy, right? The prices have gone up so high or whatever.
Right.
A little Social Security income. Because back then she could, 25 years ago, she could have bought a house for 120, 130 grand.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore. It's
Lamont, 300,000.
Lamont's
right.
crazy,
$300,000.
Lamont's crazy in value.
Anyway, don't be that old lady. Don't say, hey, I'm going to wait till the market crashes. Congratulations, we all are.
Yeah. We're waiting, just so we're clear, we're waiting for the market to crash too. When the market crashes, we're ready to buy. Everyone's ready to buy property. But anyways, guys, we're going to wrap it up already here. So just, again, a friendly reminder, guys, instead of being reactive, be proactive. Get yourselves ready. It is not a night to morning process. Just see where you stand, what you have to do. Even if you're planning on buying in tax season, you're planning on buying in July, like Rigo mentioned, you're waiting for summer, whatever you're waiting for, you start now. It doesn't mean you have to buy today.
Yeah.
You just get yourself ready so that you know what you're getting into. You know what the payments are looking like. And if you're not ready, guess what? You know what plan you have, because we're going to set you up with a plan.
What you can afford. If your credit's not good.
It's just people,
the situation
they wait for nothing sometimes. And they give themselves this thing like, well, I'm just going to wait till tax season. Well, I'm just going to wait till my credit goes up.
They want the stars to align.
Yeah, and the stars are never going to align, bro. It's just like, no, you're going to go, you figure out where you're at right now and what you need to do. It's called strategizing. It's called being strategic, and it's called being responsible with what you have currently and where you need to be at, or what you need to do to be where you want to be, right? It's like I always say all the time, how are you going to finish a race when you don't know where the finish line is?
Right.
Yep. You got to go and see where that finish line is. All right. So, guys, again, we had the pleasure of talking with Johnny here with All Credit Mortgage again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on. Rigo, is there anything else you want to say before we end the podcast?
So the last thing, just so that ladies and gentlemen, you guys are aware, we are in this business to genuinely help you.
We're not here to sell you guys shit.
We're not here to sell you guys anything. We're literally here to help you guys buy a home. And that's literally what it is. If you guys are interested in buying a home next year, you call us today so we get you prepared to buy next year. You're looking to buy in summer? Hit us up today. Okay? Don't think about it twice. You call us and we'll get it done for you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate you, brother.